Hello and welcome to Women Developing Brilliance. I'm your host, Casey Rossi. It's my great pleasure to present interesting stories of creative women sharing their message and lighting up the world with their presence and offerings. Get ready to be inspired. You can learn more about creating a business that you love by visiting kcrossi.com. Enjoy! My guest today is Julie C. Butler. She is a firecracker. You will definitely hear the passion in her voice. We talk about some amazing things from the law of attraction to the power of perseverance. Julie is a self-taught portrait photographer. She's been running a very successful business over the last 13 years, and now she has a stock photo membership for real female entrepreneurs in their 40s and beyond, and is helping female entrepreneurs create beautiful businesses so they can stop the comparison games, feel confident about having a high-level brand, and in turn, attract their dream clients. I know that you are going to enjoy this very vivacious, joy-filled conversation. Have fun. Julie, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, Casey.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. And for the listeners, so they have context around our relationship, I met Julie a couple of months ago in a high-level mastermind, and I was immediately drawn to her energy, her zest for life, and you can just tell that her energy has this bold feeling of high vibe that you just want to be involved in. So I know that people are going to love this episode. So again, thank you for being here.
So excited. I'm so excited to be here with you, Casey. Myself included, I fell in love with you right away because of your energy. I think that when they say you attract your tribe, I think that for me and you, it was an instant connection in that sense. So I'm super excited that we could connect and do this together.
Yeah, awesome. So tell us a little bit about how you became such a badass in what you do, and tell a little bit about your current iteration for the listeners that are new to your world. You know, what do you do? How do you help people? And how did you get here?
Awesome. So first of all, I was a travel agent prior to all of this. It's kind of a weird transition, but like probably a lot of you listening and or listeners, I worked a job that I didn't like, and I was like I wasn't that person that was born with entrepreneurship blood. I think it grew on me, but I was definitely that person who didn't love what I was doing. I had a job that I didn't want to go to, and I found a passion. I found and fell in love with photography. And when I was traveling, when I was a travel agent, I got to travel, and then that led to taking a lot of pictures, which led to my love for photography. And then when I had my son 15 years ago, I wanted to get better at capturing his life. So I kind of self-taught myself how to become a photographer. And next thing you know, people were like, oh my God, you're so good. You should do it for people. And then next thing you know, I am a full-on wedding photographer being sought out, published in magazines. And so that's kind of like how I got into it. And I was able to leave the job I didn't love and begin my entrepreneurship journey about, I want to say 12 or 13 years ago now. So, and I did take a little break, and I overdid the wedding thing, and I did network marketing for a few years, but again, it wasn't fueling my passion and my love. I'm an artist, and so I wasn't being fueled by network marketing. And so my artist roots, it was pulling at my heart. And so I did a little bit of soul searching and discovered that I am truly meant to be doing something that involves photography somehow. So that. Yeah. So I started, actually, it's funny because I didn't want to do weddings anymore, but I wanted to do, I loved shooting female entrepreneurs. And that's kind of how I got started with that. And as a photographer, I knew that I wanted to take my business to that next level. And you can't really do that doing just photography locally. I mean, you can, but it's not really the goal that I wanted. I wanted to take that step up. And I thought, how better way to maybe have a stock photo membership? And so by my love of photographing female entrepreneurs, which I still do, I'm a portrait photographer, personal brand photographer.
Nice.
Through my love of that and photographing female entrepreneurs, and also my love for secretly photographing the details of a wedding, that turned into photographing desktop images and details of, you know, the desktop accessories and all that good stuff. And I turned it into a stock photo membership. So
yeah, that's amazing.
yeah.
That's amazing. I love the beginning part where you really became this accidental entrepreneur. So I think
Yes.
that's really cool,
Mm-hmm.
especially because there's a lot of people now looking to pivot, looking to break away from something that wasn't fulfilling them, that was really almost sucking the life out of their soul.
Mm-hmm.
And now they have this newfound permission and also maybe a little bit of positive resistance to like, hey, let's get something together. So I think that's really inspiring for people to know that you can still be super successful and not have that entrepreneurial blood. You can actually learn it. It's a skill set. So I think
Yes.
that that's really cool for people to know. I'm wondering what kind of moxie it took for you to pivot. When did you know that you were going to be safe to leave that job you didn't like and become the full-time artist photographer that you wanted to be?
So what I did earlier on in my photography career was the networking component. Now, 10, 12 years ago, it looked a lot different than it does today, because back then it was mostly belly to belly. So I networked with some wedding planners at the time. But if I take that into 2021, it's so easy to do now, because we can do that networking in Facebook groups, whether it would be me wanting to become a photographer or wanting to have an online business. And that is such an important component of becoming and or continuing to be an entrepreneur in this day and age, right? We want to make sure that we have those connections. And it's not just local. Now you have, like, look at me and you, for example. I mean, we connected right away and it didn't take long. We met in a group, mutual group together, and we had that instant connection. We created conversations, and look at us now, right? So I think it's very important to get yourself out there, to get out of that fear, not let that fear stop you from building relationships with your online peers in the different Facebook groups or different communities. That there's so many now, right? So it's easy for us to do that, to build relationships.
I think that that's a beautiful point to just really underscore. And it's obvious that you are a natural connector. And I would love if you could share some tips for maybe the emerging leader listening. That's like, that's awesome if you have a bold and vivacious personality. But what about me if I'm a little bit more of that gentle giant or introvert or that, you know, a little bit more subdued? What tips do you have for them to network and dissolve any possible limiting beliefs that they might have that connecting online is hard, or it's just not going to be the same in person now that we have these limitations because of the pandemic? What kind of tips do you have for that person?
So I always say, like I learned actually in my network marketing career that it's just 30 seconds of courage. Right? So 30 seconds of courage. You know what? What's the worst they're going to do? The worst that they're going to do is not reply to you. Right? So just feel confident, and also just act as if you're talking to a friend. Right? Like, because if you're having a conversation with a friend, you're not going to have those fears or those blocks or anything. And you know what? Like, for the most part, us lady entrepreneurs out there, we're all pretty friendly and awesome. And so for the most part, we just have an authentic conversation with each other to start building those relationships. So there's nothing to fear. And I always stress that just think positive. Just think positive. And you know what? There's nothing bad that can happen from starting a conversation with an entrepreneur. The worst that's going to happen is they may not answer you. Right?
Yeah, I love that. I love that 30 seconds of courage. That's so easy to remember. You can put a post-it on your desktop. And I love that. And I know for myself, when I was in that fearful mode and really was kind of hiding behind that introvert label years ago, that Mel Robbins, you know, the 5-second rule just really was so impactful for me. And that's what really helped me break into video and kind of get out of my own way. I'm like, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like blast off like a rocket. We're just going to do this. So I love that in conjunction with the 30 seconds of courage. That's amazing. So I know that you're a fellow manifester,
Mhm.
and I'm a wholehearted believer in the law of attraction. And I'm wondering what your daily routine is and how you've seen it unfold magic in your own life and business.
So for me, I've not always been good at consistency with my manifesting and my journaling, and so it's a skill that takes practice and time. So I definitely encourage not to be hard on yourself if you skip a day or a month even, but just to acknowledge and try to get back into the routines. And I always say baby steps, one thing at a time, right? So because there's magical things that can unfold if you truly tap into the law of the universe and the attraction. And you know what we think about, we bring about, is there's truly magic in that. And so I've started implementing a practice of journaling. When I wake up in the morning, I actually get up, I let the dogs out, I make my cup of coffee, and then I sit down and I journal. But on the weekends, sometimes I skip a day or two, and I forgive myself for I allow myself to skip a few days. But even though I'm not maybe journaling or practicing that journaling, I'm still thinking the thoughts, right? I'm thinking about the life that I want, the person that I am becoming because of the positive thinking and the mindfulness. And it's so important to always remain, to have confidence in yourself, and knowing that you can be that person and that you can get to that place where you want to be, right? And it's all baby steps, and all we can do is one thing at a time and one day at a time, right?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. I'm really glad that you said that. And thank you for your vulnerability, because this is about progress, not perfection. And I think that, we don't have to follow these rules and these strict guidelines. That's one of the beauties about being the leader of our own life, being the CEO of our life and our own, destiny, is we get to make the rules. We get to give
Yes.
ourselves permission to take the weekends off or change it up. So I think there is power in daily micro habits, but I also think we need to leave space for fluidity and flow and faith, and for it to actually have a place for it to land. And I know for myself, when I get into a very rigid structure, it becomes robotic and it loses the whole flow and feeling, which is the number one secret of the law of attraction, is the
Yeah.
feeling state. So we
Yes.
have to just keep the end in mind and really be in that flow and that ease. So I'm digging that. Did you ever just wish there was a group of high vibe women entrepreneurs that you could hang out with? A place where you could share your wins, get a biz question asked, and be around people that just get you? Well, there is, my friend. It's my Women Developing Brilliance Facebook group. I created a place on the web where like minds and open hearts could continue the conversations that we start here on the podcast. Fulfill your desire to develop friendships with women from around the globe, women who are on the solopreneur journey just like you. Now more than ever, we are craving authentic connections. Believe me, your voice matters, your work matters, and having the support of a close-knit community can make all the difference in the world. So head over to Facebook and go to facebook.com/groups/Women Developing Brilliance and request to join my private Women Developing Brilliance Facebook group, the gathering place for heart-centered female entrepreneurs looking to create an impact, increase their income, and connect deeply with themselves and others in the process. I can't wait to welcome you in my Women Developing Brilliance Facebook group, where you'll be encouraged to introduce yourself, ask a question, and meet other ambitious lightworkers just like you. Again, it's facebook.com/groups/Women Developing Brilliance. I'll catch you there. In that a lot. What does it mean to you to be the CEO of your life and business?
So, And that's like, I want to point out on this too, that it looks different for everybody. And one person might want that multi-million dollar business, but for the other, maybe a few extra $1,000s a month is what their life of their dreams looks like. So it's important to really tap into, what that looks like for you. And just to I'm like, I'm like having a brain fart here. Just to tap into to that person and it's all about the person you are becoming and who you want to be. And I've learned, like we've learned together in our group that we were in, that it's important to embrace and embody that what that person looks like and start becoming that person, so that it's in line with the life that you want to have, whether that's a multi-million dollar business or a few extra $1,000s a month. Some could be a few extra $100s a month, right? Like, that success looks different for all of us. And that's important to know, that, that CEO of a multi-million dollar business is you are their equal. We are all equals in this together, right? And we are better together. And so I think it's important to remember that, to embrace and embody that person who we want to become. Right?
I think that that's beautiful. And I think that many times people can fall into a trap of like, I'm going to get there when, and whether they're falling into perfectionism, whether they're falling into like, let me get my ducks in a row. Let me just get it all organized before I launch. And so many times I feel that like we have to start before we think we're ready, because we're never going to get anywhere staying in our head. And the key to what you just shared, really embodying our highest self now. What would our highest self be like? What would they do? What would their day unfold like? And act as if you are already that person now, because that is where the transformation happens. And I think many people go about it in the reverse way, and they just keep going after something very elusive like a butterfly. And I've shared this before, but I used to often say that I was a joy chaser, because joy is one of my core values. And I used to always be like, oh, I really want to travel because it's going to bring me joy. I want to connect with high vibe people because it's going to bring me joy. And then I had one of my coaches say, why not turn that around and be a joy magnet? Because you don't want to chase something elusive like a butterfly. And then everything started to fall into place where it's like, I am that powerful manifester. I am that attracting power. And I think that that's a really key point that you mentioned about stepping into your best self now. What does the highest version of you look like? Be that person now to every granular detail. How do you want to feel, right?
Exactly.
So I love that. I think that's key. So key.
Yeah. And it's not, it might feel unnatural for us too, because we're just not used to acting and behaving that way. So, but once we are aware of it and we take the steps to become and embody that person, then one day at a time, we are stepping into that zone. And I think that we were never taught that way, right? Like, we were taught to like the different values and ways of thinking that we have. And sometimes I think that we're just not used to thinking like that, right? Like, it's just not been engraved in our brain. And so sometimes, but allowing again ourselves to like forgive ourselves for, for chasing the happiness, or for chasing the joy, or for chasing, because sometimes we get caught in that whole, oh, I would be so much happier if I had the perfect office, or I would be so much happier if this or if that, right? But we have to be the happy now. Right. And that's something that's important to remember. And hey, I'm only human. I've had those thoughts. I'm sure you have too, that, oh, if only I could lose 50 pounds, I would feel and I would feel so much happier. Right. But why not feel the happy now? Why not feel happy for the business that I have now and the relationships and the community that I've created, even though I'm not at maybe my income goals yet? Right. But it starts with the happiness and the love for yourself, and the confidence and the you know, that the person that you have become and the person you are today, if you look at who you are versus a year ago or even 6 months ago, like we should be so proud of what we have accomplished and who we are today. And it's important to remember that we should be proud of ourselves, right?
Such a beautiful message. And I think that the confidence piece, that is the secret fuel that propels the entrepreneur forward. And it's something that I wish that I cultivated so many years ago, because
Yes.
that just came about in the last couple of years out of my 30-year journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like that should be front page news. Trust yourself, lean into cultivating your own self-confidence and self-care, and the rest will fall into place.
Yes.
So, one of the things you do really well is this authentic feeling and vibe. I love the fact that you focus your stock photography on women over 40 and real women. And you mentioned, oh, if I could only lose 50 pounds, then I would be happy. You know, my hand is raised for having a lifetime of being confined and like body image issues. And if I could only look a certain way, then I'm going to be, able to like talk on stages and do this, do that, fill in the blank. I love the fact that, you talked a lot about giving forgiveness, self-compassion, and really permission. And I feel like when we see ourselves in these photos and you take these beautiful images of women of all shapes and sizes,
Mm-hmm.
all kind of ethnicities, and there's something really magical that happens because it's like, I'm okay. Look how beautiful she is,
Yes.
rocking her bad self, whether she's got a booty or hips or whatever, it doesn't matter. You see her radiance shining through.
Yes.
Talk to me why you gravitated to that genre.
So it actually happened because I saw that there was a gap. Like when I looked at other stock photos out there, they were like more on the younger models and more on the thinner side. And I am that woman. I am that woman that got the curves and the fluffiness. So it's important to me to have a product like that for women like me, but also what I am good at, and maybe that stems from myself being a photographer. And ever since I can remember, the number one compliment I get after I've photographed a family or a wedding or female entrepreneur is that I am so good. Like my clients tell me all the time, you are so good at capturing that emotion, the life, your images speak to me. And so I brought that into the stock photo membership. And that's a component that's very important to me to keep that and bring that forward into the membership. And a lot of I don't want it to be just a snapshot. I want my images to speak to people. And so, but it's also very important to me to have the female entrepreneurs of all ages and of all shapes and sizes and all colors, because that's together and united, that's who we are, right? So and
It's
for
awesome.
myself, exactly. And you know what else I'm told all the time? Like myself, I have my struggles with my self-image and the weight and all that. But then I try to remember myself, people don't see that when they look at me. People don't see that when they look at us. They see who we are as a person and the beauty that resonates and shines out of that. So that was another thing that also inspired me to photograph female entrepreneurs of like us, like that have the full figure bodies, because you can see how beautiful these women are, and we don't see the shape. We see the laughter, we see the emotion and the life in the photos, right? So that's why I think that I have a uniqueness of something that I bring to the market that is a first.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. That is why I am a proud member of Stock by Jules. And I
Thank you.
immediately, absolutely, because I gravitated to the energy. And again, back to that, your vibe attracts your tribe. when we use photography to represent our business, whether it's in a story or on our website, it is a representation of who we are and our core values. So when I first saw the collection, I was like, these are so emotional. You can feel the electricity and the brightness. They're very unique in the way that you utilize light. And so I'm very drawn to light within people, and I'm very drawn to their soul. And that, this is called Women Developing Brilliance for a reason.
Yes.
There's something about illumination that brings people towards it. And your photos really speak that. And there is such a diversity to them. So yeah, it's really awesome. And we can hear the passion in your voice. And I'm very curious what your deep why is, because as entrepreneurs, especially in today's world, we're taking a risk, right? By being the brave, courageous leaders and trendsetters in our field. What is your deep why? What keeps you fueled?
So a few things keep me fueled, and like so many of us, my family is number one on top, right? So that is the main, like. And I mean, we do this to serve our community and to serve, the women out there that need our help. But at the end of the day, also, we have to support ourselves, right? Like we can't live a life if we don't have money. So I really want to create a lifestyle for my family where my children can go to school wherever they want. I can pay for their education no matter what. I also, my husband doesn't love his job, so I would love to be able to retire him so that he's not at a job that worries him or stresses him out. And, I would love to I have a little bit of philanthropy in me, and I would love to be able to give in big amounts. Like, sometimes I see a cause and I'm like, oh, I just wish I could write a $20,000 check, like I want to do that on a higher level and be able to help where help is needed. Like my family, my sisters, my in-laws, and those things. So those are the reasons that keep me going. But I mean, aside from that, having, some renovations done and some traveling, I'm a huge traveler. So traveling the world is my dream. And, that luxury African safari is on the vision board. So those are the things that keep me, but mainly also, I just love serving the female entrepreneurs and helping them in their businesses succeed and be the people they want to be, like be the women they want to be, and also get to that place in their business that they desire.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's so important to be deeply rooted in that why identity. That is going to be the fuel that keeps the passion, and also it ensures a sustainable business, because when we're just frittering around, we're just not going to hit that every day, because success, as we already know, is not linear. It is this up and down journey. So in those, peaks and valleys, the peaks are awesome. When you get to the valley, we need that staff of our identity to just lean on and know the bigger picture.
And Casey, if I can add to that, I've been in business now for 12, 13 years. It's not always been, going up and up. Like I've had some deep valleys, and I'm still here, right? Because of that why. And I didn't give up on my dreams, and I didn't give up on my business, and I just kept going. Like, if I look back at the last few years, there have been months that, I didn't know where the money was going to come from. Right. So, and it's so important to keep reminding ourselves that, just because this month it's not happening doesn't mean it's not going to next month, right? We need to keep remembering our dream and our goal, right? And remembering that, if it doesn't happen this month, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen next month, right? Like just by honing in on our skills and just continuing and not giving up on our dreams. I think that's the key. I've fallen, but I just kept getting up.
I love that. You are a fireball. I was going to ask you to drop some bright light wisdom, but I think you just did. Oh. The power of perseverance. There's nothing like it. People feel that passion. There is an ignition that happens. And, I always say that enthusiasm cannot be taught, but it can be caught. And that's what's going to bring people into your world. I'm a fan, as you know, and I think we should shout it from the rooftops. So how can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more?
Okay, so it's really easy. And so if they want to be in my world, they can definitely check out stockbyjewels.com, and you'll have it in the notes of the podcast, right? And yes. Then and Stock by Jewels is jewels like a jewelry, JEWELS. So that's my main website where you can find, and make sure to grab those free stock photos as well as a little sampler for yourself. And if anybody wants to be part of my community in my Facebook group, you can go to createabeautifulbusiness.com, and that will bring you right into my community on Facebook where we hang out. I love being able to support women and help you build that beautiful business that you've always dreamt about.
I love it. Well, I'm super excited to get this published so people can learn about you. And as always, you just keep shining your light, because it's really bold and it's beautiful, and we all can feel that warmth. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Casey. I'm honored that I was able to be here today. And I just want to say ditto, because your energy is just as contagious.
Awesome, my friend. Until next time, breathe joy.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode on Women Developing Brilliance. If so, head on over to Apple iTunes and subscribe to this podcast. And I'd be grateful if you could leave a review or a rating so more people can benefit from these inspirational stories about the solopreneur journey. Thank you.